Let's start the hour with a focus on public debt. It has been a tumultuous year here across Africa. Ethiopia has been the latest country to plunge into default after it failed to honor a $33 million payment on its Eurobond when it came due on the 11th of December. Zambia and Ghana found themselves in the exact same situation. Now, what has followed in debt restructuring and economic reform has often led citizens and broad sectors of the economy in a great deal of pain. Ghana, in more ways than one, has become the poster child for just how challenging and painful debt reform in Africa can be. Nabil Ahmed Rufai starts us off at this hour.
Ghana began the year owing $65 billion with a debt-to-GDP ratio of more than 90%. The World Bank warns that anything above 77% is likely to hamper economic growth. The unsustainable debt meant that Ghana had to seek a bailout from the International Monetary Fund to help its economy recover. The government undertook a debt restructuring program which aimed to exchange more than 40% of its local debt for new bonds amidst stiff pushback from creditors.
Under the bonds currently, on average, each bondholder earns about 20% interest per annum. So who wants to trade 20% interest per annum for a bond that this year, that person will not receive any coupon payment at all?
Despite the opposition, the government did finalize its domestic debt restructuring. In May, it secured approval for a $3 billion IMF bailout, paving way for the transfer of a first tranche of $600 million of the loan. The Paris Club, the US government, and the German government, who all form part of Ghana's bilateral creditors, have agreed to some form of debt exchange.
The biggest chunk of our debt now is commercial paper under the Eurobond. Now, that debt is owed to commercial entities who have no geopolitical forbearance for Ghana.
Like Zambia and Kenya, which are also reeling under high debt distress, Ghana has yet to finalize the restructuring of its external debts. In the midst of a wide-scale debt restricting program, Ghana's economy continues to take a hit from high inflation and a weakening local currency. The government also had to implement some IMF conditions, including utility tariff hikes and introducing new taxes to shore up revenue generation. But the implementation of the IMF conditions has further worsened the living conditions of Ghanaians, prompting a series of protests. The IMF has urged the government to slow down the tax reforms. The government hopes the completion of its external debt restructuring will pave way for an economic recovery. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.